Hi, I'm Trish. I'm back, and today's true crime reading today, we're going to have a look at Nicola Bulley again, but we're having a look at Peter Faulding today. I did watch the 50 question interview, which was fantastic, and it gave me hope that there may actually be some justice for Nicola, which is we all want. It's what we all want. Intuitively, we all know that something's not right here. The outcome just doesn't sit right with any of us. So we wouldn't all watch these videos if we felt like it was the right outcome. We just know that something's just not right here. So it feels like hopefully the right people may hear his information and we may get some kind of justice for Nicola, and that's all we all want. So I've never looked into Peter Faulding before, so I thought I might ask that. I also might ask the cards if we are going to have justice for Nicola. I'm going to just have a little brief overview of Nicola and see if I can tap into her. May look at law enforcement around Nicola. I've always avoided that question and never really got into it, but it just seems my question would be, I don't know why they didn't look in that spot where Peter Faulding said that he found them. Why? What were they hiding? What was their reason for not getting Nicola out sooner? What I have discovered in the last couple of reads, I've done a couple of readings on the vet, that also Nikki's vet, that feared for her life and was found in a bathtub. So I have done some readings on that, kind of cross-referencing the two cases. What I feel though, it kind of contaminates the reads, because as I was asking questions on Yelena, the vet, I was picking up a lot of strong Nicola cards coming through there. So it was like I couldn't get the answers that I needed on Yelena's case because Nicola's cards kept coming out, and I kept getting a lot of drug cards coming up as well when I was asking on Nicola. So it kind of murkies the water a little bit by putting two things together, because those drug things could have been related to Yelena and not Nicola. So I just feel like it's really important just to keep the cases independent. Like I said 2 weeks ago when I first read on the vet, she said they needed to be kept independent because that it would be the reason is because it kind of murkies it a little bit, asking questions on one of them and pulling cards which felt like the energy of the other person. So it's really important today that we're just purely looking on Nicola's energy today. We're going to be looking at Peter Faulding, as I said. We're going to be looking at will there be justice for Nicola, given the information that Peter Faulding is going to send off, and perhaps we might look into law enforcement just briefly and see what's going on around that. And when I was tapping into Nicola's energy at the beginning of the read, I always check in with my spirit team, make sure it's okay to read on certain subjects and see what the messages were coming through. This is from my mediumship deck over here, and the cards mostly are concerned around the children. So the messages coming through from Nicola would be that related to the children, related to her feeling just the distance, the separation distance here that's happening, obviously not in this dimension anymore, and it's a concern for the children is what she was saying, and I love you. So sending her love to the children is what that would come through from the medium deck. Nikki's message would be that she's sending love to the children, she's concerned for the children. So I might just leave these ones out. Okay, so let's see if we can just tap in here first of all. Okay, I'm going to read, so I've got my true crime deck. This is my true crime deck, this is my personalized deck, and this is my tarot deck. I might just see if there's anything coming up from the tarot for Nicola. Okay, so we've got the six of swords and we've got justice. Also, that's really good. So we've got better times ahead coming up. So the Six of Swords is moving into sailing into smoother waters. So better times coming up into the future around justice. So we've got justice in reverse. So it's about looking at the options, re-examining the options. So this case may actually get re-examined and we may get a better outcome in the future. We're also looking at the Three of Wands, and Three of Wands is about assessing, stopping, getting to a level and assessing, okay, have we made the right decision? Have we, you know, which direction do we want to go on here? I'm looking also here at the Knight of Wands as well. So the Knight of Wands is rising to the challenge, standing up, and it's very fiery, and it's about so fast paced, and it's about really being forward thinking and forward moving and taking action. It's all about action. So it's about moving forward and getting to that point where we're thinking, okay, did we look at every avenue that we possibly could have looked at here in this case? Did we do this? Did we handle this in the right way? Did we move quickly enough? Did we dot every I and cross every T? It's about really assessing that and thinking, okay, where do we go in the future? Where do we take it from here? And then we're looking at the Justice in reverse, about examining the options, and we're looking at better times ahead. So the Six of Wands is indicating that we're in the future we may get a better outcome, than we might get more of an outcome than what we currently have now, because right now the outcome, nobody's happy. Nobody feels like there's any questions that have been answered, and we all just want justice. And the tarot is indicating that in the future we may actually get some better answers. They may not be all of the answers, but we may get some better answers. We may get some questions answered. You know, did law enforcement do everything they could have done? You know, we could be looking more into law enforcement in the future, the coming times ahead, and how things were handled in this case, and how this could be an example of how things should be done for future cases. I'm just thinking here, tapping into this energy around law enforcement, and that's where the answers may be coming from. We may get some more insight into what went on in that area. So that would be very interesting. Okay, let's pull cards on Peter Faulding. I've never asked about Peter Faulding before. He seemed very genuine to me. He seemed like he couldn't let this rest. He really wants answers here, and he wants to clear his name. I definitely got that from he was very clear about saying that he wants to clear his name, but I feel like it's more than that. I feel like he wants answers. He wants answers here, and he wants to hopefully get things to the right people to get the answers here, or to get the ball rolling at least, is what I'm picking up here. Okay, so let's have a look at the energy around Peter Faulding, please. What you can tell me. Okay, so that was a big pile of cards, which indicates that not every card was meant to come out of that pile, but I will show you what they were. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so we've got the death card. And the two options here, so two different things. Okay, so being in split minds around the death, so it being one way and them saying another way, or okay, so I'm getting here, this is what I'm hearing, facts. So I'm showing the facts here. What's going on here is what I'm getting. This, I know it's not the distraction card, but that's what I'm seeing. It's like I'm showing the facts here. What am I hiding over here? I'm not getting that as Peter. What I'm getting that as, okay, law enforcement. It could be saying, okay, this is what's going on here. We're ignoring what's going on here with Peter Faulding. That's the kind of sense that I'm getting here with this card. Let me just hold it up right so you can see, with the two hands out right. So it's like I'm presenting this on one hand, but on this hand is something completely different. It's either this hand's being covered up, or this hand's being shown covering up this hand, and it's all around the death. So what that's showing me is that it is one way, but being shown another way around the death, around Nicola's death. Okay, this is very interesting. Right, I've got the card that says, this is my fault, self, which can indicate her falling in and drowning. Perhaps that's okay, that's what it is. So where we're seeing the two hands saying this is being shown one way but it's actually another way, it's being them saying, okay, this was her fault, she's fallen in the water and she's drowned. So that's what they're presenting this, but it's the other way. This is what the cards are saying. This is all alleged. This is there's no facts here. This is the picture that the cards are painting. So the story so far that they're saying around the death is that we're being shown a situation in two different ways. Either we're being shown one situation and not told about the other situation, but the situation is being presented in one way when it's actually another way. That's what we're seeing with the two hands out around the death card here. Down the bottom it's saying, this is my fault, being this is what's being shown. This is the card that's being flashed around saying it was her fault. She's not self-harm, but it could have been an accident. She could have fallen in, but no one else is responsible. No other third party responsible. So remember, I'm saying over here in one case, we're not looking at this hand. They're only telling us this way, but it's saying it's being presented in one way, but it's actually this other way. So that's what those cards there are just saying. Okay, now we're also being the restrained or bound is being held here. Restrained or bound. Ever since the very first reading I've done on Nicola, since the very beginning, I keep getting restrained and bound. I keep getting tied down. The card of tied down comes down every time I read. There has to be something in that. So there has to be something. Maybe she was caught, and I've said this before. I've said that maybe she was caught in a way where she was caught I know maybe she was caught in reeds, or she was caught in something. But I've said this from the very beginning in every read, because it comes out every time, and I always explain it as, okay, she was either bound, tied, or she was caught on something. Was she caught in something in the river? And I say it every single time, but the card has come out again. It's coming out again. Over here on these two cards, it's saying running out of time, and I know you well. Okay, I know you well. So now this is making me think, where on this hand it's saying no other person involved, it was me. On this other hand it's saying time that she spent with someone she knows is somehow related to this. I have never said that before, but I have said knows you well. That comes out. No, I know you well has come out many times. So she knows the person. On one hand they're saying no other party involved. On the other hand it's saying someone knows or related to this is someone that she knew well. And something here about running out of time. That's making me think of something to do with the Fitbit. Okay, these were the cards that all fell out in one big clump. Okay, we've got the commitment card, which is the jail card. So it's about somebody being committed or related to somebody that has been in jail. So it's a committed card, jail card is what that one here is. This is a missing piece. So it's saying that there's part of this story that has not been told. There's a part of it that would just line everything up. Part of this story that if it came out, it would tie all the pieces together. This one here is the walk away or run away. So trying to get away from a situation, trying to get away from something. So maybe she was trying to get out of something or get away from something, or she was in some way running. Maybe at the time, and I've said this in readings before, maybe even the very first reading that I ever did, I think I said it feels like there's fear. There was a lot of chaos, dark energy cards, confrontation cards. It's almost like she had a fight with somebody there at the river, or there was a confrontation, or and the energies I'm just pulling back now from memory is that I felt like somebody was watching her, and I don't know if she confronted this person, but she was fearful. She felt the fear, and I felt the fear in that very first reading that I ever did. And this card here again is saying that she was running away. So that's a possibility that she running and fell. That is a possibility, but it's also indicating somebody else was there. There was somebody else there, and someone she knows, because I know you well. The card I know you well was there, so it's saying know you well. The Lovers. The Lovers. Now this card indicates, it can indicate choices she's making whether to stay or whether to go, being this one over here, the running away from a situation. It could also indicate love affairs. It can indicate relationships, something's still going on with relationships around her. As I said, all these cards fill in a clump, so sometimes they're not all just in this particular group here, these 4 cards. When they fall out in that way, they don't jump individually. It can be that not all of those cards were meant to come out. Now it's funny because I've asked, nothing about this is funny. That's just my term that I use quite a lot. But I asked about Peter Faulding, is what I asked about, the energy that I'm reading here. Cards that I've laid out are laying out in Nicola's story. So the cards that often fall out always come out in Nicola's story. But I've asked about the energy of Peter Faulding. So if I was to put this energy of these cards back to Peter Faulding question, it is saying that around the death of Nicola, Peter Faulding is putting forward another story different to the one that's being put forward. It is saying bound restrained, so I don't know if he's seen that somehow she was caught on something or she was bound, or I don't know, but bound restrained has come up, and I'm just trying to put it in the story of Peter Faulding, so it being presented in his story. So, and I feel like he was very open in everything he said. I don't think he held back any information. I think he... Okay, that's a question we could ask. Did he hold anything back there? Did he tell us the whole story, or is there more to it? But something related to her fault. Maybe he is saying that in some way it was her that went into the water, but he's got no way of knowing that either. Okay, let me just tap in a little bit deeper to putting the energy back to Peter Faulding. I can read these in Nicola's perspective very easily as part of her story. But when I'm trying to tie Peter Faulding back into this information and get his perspective on this, I am definitely seeing that he's presenting a different way to what is being presented currently around her death, and that current way it's being presented is that it's her fault. So he's presenting a different way. So that's very interesting. Bound restrained has come up, so maybe she was caught on something. Maybe something was holding her down. Maybe something was restraining her. It's there. It's again, I've got to talk about it because it's there, and it comes up in every reading I ever have done on Nicola. The tied down card comes up every single time. So he is... Now the commitment cards come up. Commitment talks about marriage as well, by the way, but it also talks about jail. So it talks about being committed here as well. So I know that he wants justice, and it's saying that time's running out. Time's running out. That feels to me like presenting the missing piece. Over here we've got the missing piece. So for him to present his story, and for some reason time's running out around this, it's like he needs to do that now. Now, I seriously don't think the Lovers and the walk-away runaway card relates to Peter Faulding. I feel it's definitely Nicola's energy here. I feel the ones that I can relate to Peter Faulding is that he's presenting a different way. Perhaps that it's not her fault. It's because I'm saying it's different. He's presenting in this first card, he's showing a different way. And then below that it shows this is my fault. And that's how it's being currently portrayed. So he's showing a different way. So maybe his missing piece will show that it could be different ways. Maybe he is going to show something to do with her being restrained or not restrained, tied down. tied down in some way, whether that's by natural, within the waterway, held down somewhere, tree branches even. I think I've said that before in other readings, or whether there was something actually attached to her holding her down, and I'm quite sure his machine would be able to pick that up, but it's coming up in his reading. So that's very interesting. Okay, I was going to ask, will we have justice for Nicola, but I feel like in the tarot spread that I first done, that came up, and that there will be an option to reassess. But I will ask my true crime deck, will there ever be justice for Nicola? Will there ever be justice? Okay, I'm getting, okay. This is the card of somebody on the other side. I won't show the picture because it's a little bit graphic. It says unrest, need the truth to be known. So this energy is coming from Nicola's energy, still wanting this to be known, the information. And will she ever, the question was, will there be justice for Nicola? The card here is that she's not at rest until the truth is known here. The truth, and I've said that all along, right through all the readings as well. Magician card is the opportunities that's created. It can also be cooking up something as well. I can show you the picture there. So it's like you can see here, it's working on a potion, the magician working on a potion. And this card here is something was seen or there's surveillance. So there's either something important was caught on camera, and that's a really important part of this story, and that's going to be recognized, or that somebody actually seen something, because this is a card of surveillance and being seen. Now I've got to keep this energy purely to Nicola, because I don't want to bring in anybody energies and kind of murky the water like I did with the readings last week, where they kept pulling different energies all the time. But my thought pattern there was, if somebody is trying to come forward, will something happen to them? So if somebody's seen something and they try to come forward, will something happen to them? And that's only basing it on my reading from last week. So, yeah, that's very interesting, that thought pattern there. Okay, my next question here is something about a rope in the culvert. As I said, every single reading I've ever done on Nicola says something about being tied down, or tied down could indicate rope, and I've even said rope. In the very first few readings I said something about either rope or twine, and then in the comments somebody said there was twine found around the willow. So I've mentioned rope from the very beginning, and then when I was looking at that video there was something about rope in the culvert, and I'm sorry, I don't know what that means or what that was, but I'm wondering if somehow that is connected. So I'm just going to ask on that. We're talking about the tied down part now, or the rope in the culvert, which I'm not quite sure what that is, but that's what we're looking at now. So any more information coming up around tied down or rope in the culvert. Okay, oops, there we go. So this card here is about, there's more information around that, getting more evidence or more knowledge or more information around that. Here is follow the money, something follow the money with that one. This one here reminds me like of a storm drain, so I'm thinking that storm drain area of that river. I'm not, maybe near that hanging tree, or there's some kind of storm drain near one of the properties there that people talk about. So that could be what we're talking about there. There was a cover-up. So we're coming back again with cover-up. Cover-up comes out every time as well. Now this deck has 100 cards. There's 100 cards in this deck, but every time I read on Nicola, we get the same handful of cards. I would say we get the same probably 15 cards come up every time in this reading, and cover-up is one of those cards that come up. So there's a big picture to this. There's more to this. And this card freaks me out every time I see it, but it says somebody's watching you, so about being watched. And again, we've got that surveillance card as well. So yeah. Again, I've got to just say that this is card reading. It's very speculation. There's no facts here. It's just the card, the picture that the cards paint. So, and that's what that is. But it's about a feeling of feeling safe, or worrying about safety there. So I feel like sometimes when I'm reading on Nicola, and I really only get it when I read on Nicola, there's a sense of having to be careful of what you say. It's like there's an aspect to this case that I don't know, maybe a dangerous aspect, and that's what I said before about maybe if somebody had seen something and coming forward would be fearful of their life. So, and that's what I'm getting there in those cards as well. It's like I know I'm always on guard when I'm reading on this. I sense that there's an element of something about this where you have to toe the line and be careful what you say. I sense that in every time I read on Nicola, and I don't sense that within really many other readings that I do. It's mostly this one, so there's that aspect there anyway. But then these cards come up, and I'm talking about if somebody had seen something, they'd be fearful for their life and their safety of coming forward, because that's what that card there just said, which I've packed away, these two here, safety. So it's about fearing about being watched or being surveilled. There's two very different things, and it could be either one, but it's a feeling of being, considering your own safety if you did see something, and, are you being surveilled, are you being watched, and having to be careful. It's that sense of cautious around people that know things, being very careful with what they perhaps say or do, because they're fearful. So maybe that when I'm tapping into that energy of having to be careful what I say, maybe I'm tapping into somebody else's energy of them having to be careful what they say. Maybe it's not me. Maybe it's me not having to be careful what I say. Maybe it's somebody around the situation that knows something has to be careful what they say. It's that sense of being watched. And then I bring back which I didn't want to bring back Nicola's vet into this reading at all, but my energy in that reading was she was fearful. And that was facts. That's facts. She was fearful for her life. Okay, let's have a little look. So the rope in the culvert, I didn't get the answer to that. I just come up with the storm water drain. I think because I wasn't specific with that question, because I don't understand the question. I just know that every time I've read on Nicola, I've got tied down cards come up, and then somebody commented about a rope in a culvert. So yeah, I don't know if they're connected, but it was saying something about storm water drain there in this reading, and about truth needs to be known. Okay, here's a good question. It was predicted that she would be found on the 23rd day on the 19th. So how could they predict that? How could they say that? So what's the deal with that? Let's have a look at the energy around that. What is the deal with the person? How did they know that she would be found on the 23rd day? How did they know? That's a good straightforward question. How did they know she would be found on the 23rd day? I also know that the 23rd is a kind of a ritual number as well, so there could be that aspect of it as well. Okay, these are too many cards, but I'm just going to go through and reshuffle them. And okay, so there's a web of lies around that. Factions at war, a narcissist energy. She was missing or lost until that time. So she was missing or lost, and then somebody predicted that she would be found on the 23rd day. And I don't mean a psychic predicted, I mean somebody high up, I don't know exactly what their position is, predicted that she would be found on that day. Saying it was an accident. A ringmaster. A ringmaster is part of a ring. And protection. For somebody's protection, maybe. For somebody's protection. The reason why. Here it's This is the shallow water card that comes out all the time in Nicola's read, and I always talk about the shallow water. It's the resilient card. It's the Nine of Swords. So it's but I always talk about this card being that last moment, or her hanging on in that last moment. But the water here, that's shallow water. So yeah, I'm finding that strange that it's coming up in why she was found and how they knew she was found on the 23rd. This is the Wheel of Fortune. It's about things turning around. So the case turned around. That was the case turning around. It went from her being missing, which we saw in the cards, to her being found on the 23rd. Was there any motives behind why she was found on the 23rd day? Was there any motives to why she was found? There was a deal made around that. Okay. Yeah, a deal made around that for her to be found on the 23rd day. For whatever reason. Can you tell me why? Is there a reason why? Whoops. These cards, I'm going to show you what they are because they've fallen out in a funny way. Somebody wanting to talk, somebody not involved. The implication was the card that I felt was most prominent for that one, but I will shuffle that one again. And unrest, truths needing to be told, somebody passing through or something passing through. It comes out all the time, and I say either something passing through the body or something passing through. So that comes out all the time as well. So here I'll go back to that question. I just like them to jump properly. Okay. Was there motive to why she would need to be found on the 23rd day? She was hidden away. Bound or restrained. This is copycat or similar, so similar to that. So it's not quite the words that I've said, not quite the meanings to these cards. So it's not quite that she was hidden away, not quite that she was bound or restrained, but it's something very similar to that. So she was maybe held somewhere or held in a spot until the 23rd day. So she was held out of sight, because hidden is out of sight, so held out of sight somewhere. Could have been in that place that Peter Faulding saw her, but she was purposely held out of sight, bound or restrained until the 23rd day when she was found. So it's saying, because it's not exactly the right words that I was using, I may have used the right words the second time around, but this card told me to rephrase those words because I was saying them not quite rightly. It was a little bit different to how I was portraying it. Okay, so my question is that, and that was all related again to the deal, a deal that was made for that. Okay, was she moved? Did somebody physically move her from that first position? That's my confrontation card. Male energy, unrest and unseen. So it was done, okay, wrong direction. So I'm asking that in the wrong way. But the card that's come out is the truth needs to be known around that situation. And that's a woman with ropes on her hands. Yeah, I'll just have a look at that image. It looks like she's in water with one arm up and the ropes on her hands there. But unseen, so it was unseen. If she was moved, it was unseen. There was a confrontation around that situation, so where it said deal made with the devil or deal made, there was some kind of confrontation around that. And this is the father. It's not the father, it's the emperor, which is the male energy. So the male energy around her there. Okay, so I've just asked that again. Did somebody move her? It said that there was an accomplice. Again, it's come out that this card here, you can see that I held up at the screen again, has come out again. It says unrest, need of truth known. And that's like where she was in the first position. And then there was an accomplice. This card is the World card. To the end, and I'm getting here to the ending position, Okay, so there was a connection with an accomplice, which makes me feel like there was help there to move her from that one resting place. So it says unrest, need the truth known, but I'm getting like that one place where she was, there was help to move her to the final resting place. That's that's like a death card, but it's like the world, the end of a situation. When I do this one here, means to me where you find somebody buried in the woods or something like that, but it could have been the reeds because it's green, so in the green. So is it in the green? So moving from this position, which is making me feel like the Peter Faulding interview of what he said he's caught on sonar is what I'm seeing here with this image, to that final resting place in the reeds, because it's in the green, so in the reeds was a connection and an accomplice. So accomplices come out and a connection there, but also the Tower card, which is the also bad weather, could be an indicator, or a cycle or cyclone there as well. Okay, was she in the water the whole time? Now I know that saying, okay, so I just want to clarify what I'm saying here. Okay, what I'm saying here is she could have been moved out of the water, that one area, into another area. So that could have been in any way. It could have been along the land, it could have been through the water. But she was moved from one area. She moved from one area to another. And the card said accomplice or helped in some way. How do I say this? So what I'm trying to get at here is that did she get moved from land and put into another spot? I think that's what I'm trying to say. Okay, did she get moved via land to get put into another spot? Okay, this is one of my Nicola cards because it's Nicola walking with her dog. That's one of my starting cards of Nicola walking with her dog. This is closed doors. So again, I'm getting closed doors. This has come up before where I said I could see like the narrow opening of a door, whether that's a car door, but I could just see a narrow opening of a door. Now when I had that vision, it was almost like out of body looking down vision is what it felt to be. Her body was limp, as I said, in the vision that I saw, that was a limp body, but the vision I could see was like looking from a perspective of looking down on the situation. That's how I had the vision. It was out of body looking down. So two doors behind closed doors here. Got to mention it because I have spoken about that. Again, we're bringing back that male energy here. We've got the Emperor card with the male energy. Wrong direction. So wrong direction. I've got to clarify that because it's come out twice now. I'm not sure if that's to deter people, like how am I seeing this? Like, what I'm feeling from this card here is why, I don't know who did it, whether it was divers or whoever it was saying we need to look out in open waters. It was like steering people towards a wrong direction. So steering the search towards a wrong direction, steering the search not to where she was, to somewhere else for some reason. It was like trying to get him to look into open waters or something. It was like steering the situation to a wrong direction. In that, we're also getting closed doors, so behind closed doors. Strategy or planning comes out every time, so there was some kind of strategy or planning going on around there related to money. Follow the money, so there's big money behind this, or big power behind this. There's power behind that one there. And creative narrative. So again, we're talking about where we're saying wrong direction, steering them to a different direction. This here is about creative narrative, is about lies, about people saying saying something to steer everybody off path towards a different direction. Exactly what this card here is saying. So it's saying that, yeah, whether it's, now we're talking about people, witnesses, or searchers, or whatever we're talking about now, was steering the situation in a different, wrong direction. Lies, created narrative for some reason. Okay, can we see why that was, please? What was the reason? Why was they steering this case in a wrong direction? Purposely. And family connections, something about family connections. Also got to come back to this card. Purposely disappeared would be to hide the body. Could be. It could just be the word, that could just be purposely, that was done on purpose, intentionally. But it could also be that the body was disappeared from that area that it was in. But family connections has come out as well. Okay, any final cards here? Did I cover all the questions? Okay, we're just going to have a little quick look at law enforcement. Law enforcement, please, any questions around law enforcement for this particular case? Not all law enforcement in general, just this particular case. Okay, they're not coming out quickly. There's not like copycat or similar. Okay, law enforcement for this particular case. Any questions around that? Yeah, they're not coming out. Wrong direction, follow the money. So steered in a wrong direction, follow the money. And this one here is stranger unknown, but again, this always reminds me of a storm drain. This card here, like a storage drain or a storm drain, always reminds me of that card there. Okay, someone commented this morning in one of my cards about Rebecca retiring. Just see if there's any energy around that. Oh, that did jump. What did we jump? 2 jumped. Guilty. And judgment. Very interesting. Okay, these ones fell out again, but I said they fell out in a different way. It's because they weren't shuffled in properly. We just had them. Copycat or similar for me means or ask it in a bit of a different way. Follow the money, wrong direction. So steered in a wrong direction. But as I said, they fell out in a funny way, and they had only just fallen out on the spread before. So that was really, really interesting that these 2 cards here fell out when I asked about that particular person. So thank you for joining me. Yeah, I'll see you next time.